this speech, I have reviewed the following information: brainyquote.com, heritage.org, unc.edu, reagan.civiced.org, cnbc.com, theguardian.com, reaganfoundation.org, openlettersmonthly.com, usatoday.com, history.com, and content.time.com. Of the many presidents, Ronald Reagan is often overlooked today in traditional history, like schools and history in there. And so today I'm honoring Ronald Reagan and the legacy he left behind. The three main points of my speech are: one of his superior accomplishments, defeating the Soviet Union, and just one of his pure unselfish motives, which is his ego based on experience, and then benefit society, the way he helped America grieve over the loss of the Challenger space shuttle. Just a little background history on Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan was the 40th President of the United States. He was the 33rd Governor of California. He was born February 6, 1911 in Topeka, Illinois. He was an actor, and some of his famous nicknames is the Gipper, the Great Communicator, and the Dutch. And he had a love for Jelly Bellies. And then when he was shot, one of his first things he said to his wife when she walked in was, she said, "Honey, I forgot to duck." And then he was a cowboy. He had a ranch in California. If the Soviet Union left another political party into existence, they would be a one-party state because everybody would move to that party. Defeating the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union was a really big empire. They controlled over 40 countries. They were responsible for over 100 million deaths, and they were just really mean. And Reagan did a lot to help bring the peace back over there. In 1987, he went to Germany and called like a speech there in front of the Germans, in front of the Brandenburg Gate in Berlin, Germany, and spoke to the Germans there and basically told Mr. Gorbachev to tear down the wall. And 2 years later, it was torn down. But he used a lot of offensive strategies, and one of the offensive strategies examples were including providing aid to anti-communism rebels in Afghanistan, Nicaragua, and elsewhere. But what also he did is what many past presidents did, is he got rid of our DNTs. He got rid of those. The Soviet Union commented and said that it showed America's vulnerability and weakness, and so he said, and then Reagan came back and said that so far DNT's been a one-way street that the Soviet Union has used to pursue its own aims, and so he got rid of those as past presidents kept reapplying those. And I got those some facts from heritage.org and unc.edu. He spoke, here he is speaking to the Germans in Berlin, Germany. I here just kind of showed that he cared a lot about peace elsewhere, and also peace in the United States, because if it got any worse, it could have been really bad for the United States. And here it shows the Berlin Wall coming down on November 9th, 1989. This was a very big time for Germany. It was a really exciting time. The wall split the East and West Germany, and a lot of families were divided. They didn't get to see their families. Anyone that tried to sneak across were shot in what they called Death Valley. And one of the ladies described it as she was split from her son when he had needed to go over for heart. He was having heart trouble, so she was split from him and never got to really see him. And so when the wall came down, she described it as, "It will always be an utter highlight of my life. I was exhilarated. Finally, freedom came to me." Many people said that Reagan had kind of a big ego. His ego was based on experience. His ego was, "I'm 80 years old. I've been there, done that." But he never thought of himself as someone higher than us. He never had a big head, or he was never snobby or demanding. He had a love for people. He had a big heart and a big heart for this country. He was selfless and put others' needs before his. He was charming. When he spoke, he often would give like a wink to his wife during his speeches, or a wink to like his aides, or something that was like his way. And you notice a lot of the aides in the White House, a lot of his co-workers and everything, said that he almost had a skip everywhere he went. Like in his walk, he had a skip. He was never afraid to laugh at himself. If he messed up during a speech or told a really bad joke, he would laugh at himself. He wasn't afraid. And the reason he was selfless, an example is, in one of his press conferences, he kind of gave a really bad speech, and he took so much criticism for it, took a lot of the blame for it, but later he came back and said that he didn't want to hurt the feelings of the guy that wrote the speech, because he poured his heart out into it and worked really hard on it, so he didn't want to hurt his feelings by changing it too much. So he took the blame for the speech. Here Reagan is during one of his speeches during a speech conference. He's shown here being really goofy. But Reagan knew when to be goofy, when to be serious, and when to tell a joke, and when to laugh, or when to change the subject. And he never had an ego that said, "I'm better than you." It was just all based on experience. I'm 80 years old. I've been there. I've done that. For example, his hair appointment. He loved going to the barber, but he was late one day because he had a meeting, and everyone wanted to stay and talk to him, so he was really late, and one of his aides said, "It's okay, he can wait." He's like, "No, it's not the point, because all those other people that are waiting to get their hair cut are having to wait on me." And so he was very selfless, he loved this country. He put others' needs before his. On Reagan's last day at the White House, as he was leaving to go out to his limousine on his final day, all his aides, all the people were there watching him leave, and a lot of the aides had tears in the eyes, and one of the aides said very quietly, with tears in his eyes, and said, "There will never be another president like him." And when he passed away, 20.8 million people viewed his funeral, viewed the procession, and it was one of the 6 largest funerals viewed. And here it shows people lining the streets to watch his procession. So he was very loved by his country and by the people. The crew of the Space Shuttle Challenger honored us by the manner in which they lived their lives. Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan helped America grieve at something that was very shocking. On January 28, 1986, the United States Space Shuttle Challenger went up into space on its 10th mission. And it made it 73 seconds on it before it blew, and killed all 7 pastors, including a teacher that was there to give lessons from space. And it was a shock because it was its 10th mission. It had never done this before. It never had any problems or anything. And what Reagan did was basically he let the American people know the grown-ups were in charge. In his speech, he was very confident and calm. And it was a sad time, and he was sad, but I don't think he ever let the American people show that he was sad. He stayed confident. He stayed calm, and was there for everyone. He gave the speech on the night that it happened. He was supposed to give a speech over the State of the Union, but he decided to change it and give a speech over the Challenger space shuttle. And he said that we will never forget them, nor the last time we saw them. This morning, as they prepared for their journey and waved goodbye, and slipped the surly bonds of the earth to touch the face of God. This is probably one of Reagan's most famous quotes, and it really showed America that the adults were in charge and that Reagan was there and loved his country and loved what he was doing. He was old. He was 80, but it never stopped him from doing his job or for being right there with everyone. He still traveled. Here it shows in Houston, Texas, at a ceremony for the astronauts and the teacher, and he was right there with Mrs. Reagan. All of these 3 things are just a small portion of the man he was and the legacy he left behind. Ronald Reagan had a big heart, brought down a huge empire, and helped America grieve one of the biggest losses. And in an article, some citizens were asked to say what they thought of Ronald Reagan. And Kevin Warner from Utah said, he loved this country and made us proud to call ourselves Americans. He wasn't afraid to do the right things, the tough things. I miss him greatly. And it just shows how one man had such an impact on this country and how he's still missed.